Okay, so we're back out here after the court session, the hearing of the former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu. It was a brief session, but before we go into that, my name is Rose Peter Graham, and this is, you should be saying your name now, Damilola Ogunshola.
That's right.
So now, we are going to analyze what happened today. The session was quite brief, unlike the last one.
Yeah.
And Ekweremadu was not in court today. He wasn't in session, but he appeared via a video conference. And of course, Obina Obeta, also the doctor that was also charged for the same issue, was also appeared. But Ekweremadu's wife, Beatrice, she was present here. She was looking happy. She was wearing black. She had a thick head scarf on her head. She was wearing a black gobo over, over her pants, and she looks calm, well rested, unlike the last time, and she's happy. She put on some some makeup, and she was actually smiling in court, because at the end of the day she is still on bail, though still the strict conditions, and as our counsel actually told the court, told the judge, considering the stringent conditions, those conditions were not put out, but he was concerned about it, and then he asked the judge if if they could lessen it, but the judge declined. So she was there, the husband was there, but sadly the husband is going to remain in custody with the lawyer, that's Obina Obeta. But for you, tell me, what do you make of today's outing?
Today was pretty brief, in the sense that I think it went as expected in a way.
Okay.
Definitely we expected there to be pleas today, but there weren't any pleas today. There weren't any pleas today because if not all defendants have A, been joined, and B, have legal representation, they can't make a plea, and that was what we saw today, so no pleas were taken. In terms of what was done today, I think the next hearing date, stressing the word hearing, this is not the major trial.
Yes.
This still falls under pre-trial preparation, being scheduled for the 31st of October. Whilst some may feel that's a really long way away, I think it definitely shows, number one, how busy the court is when it comes to these issues. It's also interesting, that the lawyer for Ike did sort of push for a speedy trial.
Oh yes, he did. He tried.
And I think it's plausible. Definitely we see more being done from current counsel than previous counsel. Unfortunately, it wasn't granted.
That's true. Yeah.
But that again, it expresses A, the gravity of the offence, and B, how busy court is. Given the fact that we are basically coming off the back of a pandemic, there are other cases to be heard. It's as simple as that, and prestige doesn't get you a pass.
And you know something else, while they're in court, I noticed most of the things that they actually spent a lot of time deliberating on the dates that they would have the next hearing before they go on a trial. And I wondered why. The judge was quite considerate. He said the case will be handled by a High Court judge.
Right.
And then, of course, they went back and forth, and he was considering the 13th of October for the stage 2 talks, but then they settled for the 31st of October, and the 2nd of May would be the trial date. And in all of this,
well, the start of trial.
The start of trial.
Yeah.
And in all of this, Ekweremadu would be in custody.
Yeah. And whilst many may not feel that that is just or that is fair, the reality is, by law, it's warranted. It is warranted. It may not be the most comfortable experience, but the judge and the prosecution would, along with the defense of course, would have definitely had an extensive bail hearing, and it did go across 2 days.
Yes.
And so if in that 2 days the prosecution have provided more reasons why, as to why he shouldn't be on bail that we're not privy to, and the court in his wisdom has come to this decision, then he's just going to have to roll with it. Is it a long time? Absolutely. We're talking 8 months.
It's a long time because he's been in custody now for over 42 days.
Yeah.
And then we're talking another 60 days.
No, 60 days for hearing, yes.
Oh, yeah, for the hearing.
Yeah.
And then how many?
Good 8 months before trial.
Before trial.
Yeah.
That is some time. And you know, someone actually asked this question, and I'm going to put it to you.
Okay.
He says, how is the man who lives in a mansion, how is he going to manage living in a house, in a half house? No attendants, no fancy tables, food, and the lifestyle he's used to. Well, how is he going to cope?
Well, I think there are a couple of things to be considered here.
Yeah.
The first being that, yeah, definitely it is a change of environment, to say, you know, that's an understatement. But it boils down a lot to his ability to be resilient and his own mental stability.
Yes.
It will be very much a mind over matter kind of situation. Sure, he doesn't have staff and all the rest of it, but at the same time where he is, he doesn't need staff. His meals get given to him. He's not changing outfits. He will be in prison uniform, etc. So
yeah, that was it. He was in the orange suit.
yes, he would have appeared in prison uniform in orange because it was by teleconferencing.
Yes, it was, because we're all expecting to see him, and the only thing he said today, like usually, was just to identify himself. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that is one. You know, in our first session, we were talking about August being a special month for Ekweremadu, and of course that it was August 17th, 2019. Okay, yeah, you know, because I mentioned it, August being a special month for Ekweremadu. I told you in 4 years ago exactly, on the 4th of August. The first one was the 1st of August, where he got bishops and pastors to pray for him after he was released by the EFCC, when they held him because they needed him to account for the 22 houses he has in Nigeria, Dubai, and the United Kingdom. And then August 17th, he was embarrassed. Okay. He was harassed in Germany. You remember?
I do remember.
That kind of, you know, the kind of embarrassment he suffered. I mean, you know, well, wait, just a minute, if you don't mind. Such a man was being pelted with eggs. He was running for his life. His kinsmen were doing this to him. This can never happen to him back home, because of course, you know, they would have DSS around him, security, you know, operatives, they will all be around him. That can happen to him. And then again, he's finding himself going through the same embarrassment. And he is not the only guilty, if you want to say, official or politician in Nigeria who embarks on medical tourism, or, you know, not wanting to build the health sector in Nigeria, but he seems to be suffering, having all, feeling all this, you know, getting all the consequences of bad government.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate in the way that you've explained it, that he does seem to be, quote unquote, the sort of scapegoat.
Yes. In
this situation by the public. However, there is almost like an unspoken understanding that politicians do medical tourism. They do go abroad for what, you know, health matters and treatment and things like that. We know that. In
Nigeria, it's like taking a trip to the toilet for them.
Right, so we already know that happens. What has brought him this bad press and bad publicity is the grievous nature of the charges against him. This is not, you know, oh, fraud. As much as fraud is bad, we're kind of used to hearing about fraud. You know, it's like, oh, another politician or another high-profile individual has done a bit of white-collar crime. This isn't that. This is a very, very grievous offence. Very grievous offence. That the reality is, the nature of the act in itself, the Modern Slavery Act, is written such that we from the outside, we can't even predict what the sentencing would be, because it would be based on the elements that the prosecution is able to prove, and obviously him being found guilty. So it's such a wide spectrum. I mean, so that, you know, it's like you can make us look bad with corruption and fraud, but this kind of thing, I mean, it's a step too far.
Yes. Okay. There's someone who was actually speaking for Ekweremadu online. He was talking about the meaning of Ike in Igbo language. He said it means power, and that right now Ekweremadu needs all the power to save himself and his wife. And of course, Ekweremadu, his surname, means human beings are unreliable. So which means who wasn't unreliable here? It's an irony, isn't it? So but who is unreliable here? Was it David, or was it the Ekweremadus who treated him badly when they said, because they're conflicting information online? No to organ harvesting, persecute the offenders now. This is good. I did see you with this.
Yes.
But you need to introduce yourself first.
Citizen Bola from an organization called Take It Back.
Okay, I saw you at the Westminster Magistrate Court,
Yes.
and you're here again at
Yes.
the Old Bailey.
Yes.
So what is your own stand?
My own stand is that the people who are entrusted with making the country better are people like this senator, who has been a senator for 19, going on 20 years.
Yes.
He has been in the higher echelons of governance, and he's one of the people responsible for the ruin of our country. And it's strange that somebody like that would then use the services of British healthcare for his children to benefit with the money that was provided to him to make our country better, which hasn't happened. So for him to now be caught up in this trial, well,
Yes.
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing, yes. Let me say it honestly, it's a good thing. Because it puts a spotlight on what the hell is happening in our territory. Some people take offense when you call it Nigeria. Some people say I'm not Nigerian. Let's just call it what it is. We're in a place whereby we have an ancestral land which has had trillions of dollars spent on it over the decades, and this is what we have. No healthcare, no roads, nothing good happening for a citizen, no security. So our issue is, this is a case which we will come out, and the reason why we come out to this particular one is there was a delegation of so-called high-ranking ruinous class members, senators. I saw a former deputy Senate president here last time.
Yeah, David Mack.
Hiding behind the mask.
Did he hide?
Did
Was
you see
he
his
hiding?
face?
That's,
Did you see his face? I didn't see his face. He was hiding
wearing the
behind the
mask,
mask.
Oh,
This
no.
is post-COVID times. Take it off. Let us see who you're
He
supporting.
was just trying to be.
Don't speak on his behalf. Let me speak on the behalf.
Okay, I'm not speaking on his behalf. Come.
Yes.
No, I'm not speaking on his behalf. I mean,
Yes.
you know, like the representative from the Nigerian High Commission, they were also here today.
Correct.
And they were
Again,
also wearing.
and yet they took them off at the end. And the questions that I had to ask to the gentleman, well, the person, let's not call it, member of the ruinous class, his name eludes me, but he is a foreign committee chairman, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think that's who he is. Now my question was, do you support this? Did he want, he's saying let the court decide. My point is not whether the court is deciding, because the reason for turning up like they do in Nigeria is to show solidarity with the accused.
Okay.
Now why would somebody come from Nigeria to show solidarity with an accused? There are Nigerians languishing from Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Japan, you name it. Have they ever had a visit from any person from the commission.
Okay.
So there are many reasons why we're here.
Yeah, you do have a point.
Yes.
That's good. And I guess there's a reason we are here too. And hopefully this is sorted out. Because looking beyond Ekweremadu today, this is an embarrassment for Nigeria as a country.
It's very true.
And you know, I feel at this stage, they should learn and then start working at fixing the system. But no, there is wide-scale corruption, and you can imagine the ruling party imposing 100 million naira on candidates who want to contest. Where do they expect them to get the money from? I mean, if we have monetized politics, everything in Nigeria is monetized, there's no value anymore. Everyone is about money by any means necessary. They don't care how you get it. We are still going to keep finding ourselves in situations like this. We are still going to keep being embarrassed like this all over the world. That is just my feeling. I don't know what
well, let's look at the let's go back to the court case. The number of people allowed in was 20.
Yes.
Into the actual court. Many of the so-called high-ranking Nigerians came along and thought they could throw their weight around and get into the court. They were sorely disappointed.
They couldn't get in.
They couldn't get in. That's a very simple thing. Imagine this was in Nigeria. Which court would say that these people who attended couldn't get in? And the point being, where you're saying corruption, this is individuals.
But I actually didn't see that the representative from the High Commissioner couldn't get in. Not all of them. Not all of them were able to
They had to select 3.
Oh, just 3.
Just 3 were allowed in.
I had gone inside.
Yes.
Already,
so the end issue for us is, do we want a country that works or do we not? And what do we have to do in order to make it work? What do we have to do, those of us who are not in Nigeria? I say something which is seen as controversial. I don't see it as controversial.
Yes.
They call us diasporans. I call us refugees. Because what number of people would leave a functioning country to go elsewhere and do what? Under what capacity? People will not admit to it, but it's a very sad thing. When you look at Kuwaitis, how many of them do you see here? What are they doing here? When you look at Saudis, how many of them are here? What are they doing here?
Yeah.
Go and look for the Swiss. What are they doing here? How many of them are here? Go and find Nigerians in every single place on the planet doing things which are building that country, which they could readily do at home, but because it's not an enabling environment, then we're in a position where they have to do it elsewhere. Now, everybody wants to be at home. Everybody wants to be at home. Not only because of the weather, not only because of the community, not only because of the feeling of being at one with yourself on your ancestral land, not only the feeling of you want to build for the future of the future generations. We are in the position whereby we are away from where we should be because of what we find in our own country.
Yes.
That's the only reason.
Okay. That's good. Thank you very much, Bola. Am I correct?
Bola.
Bola,
yes.
I'm correct. Okay then. So that's it from Bola, and that is it from us today. We still see some more Nigerians. Most people around there, they just don't want to leave. I don't know why. You see that? They're still out there discussing for some reason or the other. I don't know. So we're done for today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate this, Danny.
You're welcome. Great to do this.
My darling analyst. And we're going to start talking politics, and I hope you look forward to that. And of course, subscribe to our channel. Be a part of this. After this, we're talking about Nigeria on the road to 2023. We'll find out what is happening and who's going to be the next candidate, if it's going to be the Obedience, the Atikos, or the Emilokons. But let's leave that again. Today's is done, and Ekweremadu is going to remain in custody till the 31st.
That's
and
right.
of course till the start of trial.
Yes.
So I'll say thanks for watching. My name remains Rose Peter Graham.
And my name is Damilola Ogunsona.
Okay, and that's it from us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.